Yeah, but Nick, I'm glad, Nick, that you have learned the ways of the TV dudes, which is that you don't have to do all the homework. You learned that lesson the hard way with whatever that show was.
Irregulars.
Irregulars, yes.
Nick is the only
Yeah.
person that finished that. I don't even know if all the cast saw all of that.
Yeah, Nick's the only person on the planet who finished Irregulars.
Right?
They had to cancel it. Like, the official statement was, we're canceling Irregulars since only one person in the world watched it to completion. And we don't know what's wrong with that person.
We're diverting the remaining budget to a study of why.
The show creator's mother didn't watch as much Irregulars as I did.
She said she did. She patted him on the head, and then she got a bunch of questions about it wrong.
She's like, it was really good, honey. I thought the one who was irregular was my
It's
favorite.
my favorite.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the season, when he got regular,
Oh, yeah, I cried. I cried when he got regular.
I cried.
Episode 341 of the TV Dudes, recorded July 14th, 2021. All good things must end. This week, we're talking about endings. No, the TV Dudes are not ending. We are eternal like Twinkies in the TVA. But we are talking about the end of Loki Season 1 on Disney+, the final season of Atypical on Netflix, and the final episodes of Mythic Quest Season 2 on Apple+. We'll also be talking about the end of Randy's patience with the Emmys, and the end of Les and Randy's patience with Adult Swim's dumb streaming rules that make it impossible for them to talk Rick and Morty this week with Kyle and Nick. And we'll be talking about the sketch and performance show taped in London's East End, Taskmaster, a Patreon request that we watched on YouTube. Okay, we actually don't know where Taskmaster is taped, but we had to cram it into the theme somehow. Before we get to all that, though, I'm Randy.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Les.
And I'm Nick, trying to wonder why Kyle is still here despite my many assassination attempts.
Well, I mean, he's in this, like, undisclosed white room with all his belongings packed up. I think you've got him on the run.
Hey, Kyle.
No, we had a decorator come by. I said, give me that John Oliver white voice.
Yeah, I was going to say, John Oliver wants his fucking void back.
If you look around and see John Oliver's there, yeah. we were all
trying to crack the joke at the
We were
same
all coming
time.
at that joke from a different angle,
Right.
and we all fucked it up.
Kyle's going to look to the right real suddenly and run. John Oliver's, what the fuck?
Just pause
out.
and cool.
But yeah, so we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about this week. Taskmaster is a Patreon request, which is not anime, and which I had a blast watching. So I'm curious to hear what you guys thought about that. That'll be fun. But as always, let's start off with our TV diaries.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
And let's start with Kyle. Kyle, what you watch?
Oh my. Spending all that time. Actually, I started this week on vacation. So we're kind of coming into like a halvesy TV watching week. Mostly just the stuff that we were going to check out for the show this week. It was kind of cool because Black Widow came to streaming. We got to watch it while we were camping. I was actually up in your neck of the woods, Nick, in Wisconsin, Adams County.
Oh man, you were within striking distance away.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of joking about the assassination attempt thing earlier, but like, you're fucking up Nick's
You got
alibi.
poison the water supply.
How could Nick have killed him? Kyle lives all the way, and you were where?
Damn
Oh.
it.
But no, this has kind of become a tradition. The Game of Thrones seasons, the last couple, would start up during this camping trip we're all on together. So we would figure out ways to rig up Game of Thrones while we were camping. So it was fun this year. Black Widow got to be that thing. But then getting back, it was so nice to binge through all the Rick and Morty that I had saved up. I got completely caught up on that. The same with Mythic Quest, those last few episodes. Actually, I think I only had the season finale to watch. I think I had watched everything up until then. But that was also super satisfying, as well as Loki. Oh, I can't wait to talk Loki. And then, as I'm sure you can imagine, I watched a ton of Taskmaster. I just left it on looping different episodes. Like, yeah, I've really gotten to Taskmaster.
I knew Taskmaster was going to be right up your alley.
I'd say, Randy, I think you said it in the text thread of like, so Kyle, is this already your favorite show? Or
It sounds like someone that's definitely not Kyle would recommend.
right?
Wait, did not Kyle recommend that? You
Yes.
got to tell me
We
now.
did pay for
You have
this.
to tell
Was
me
it
if
not-
you're
Well,
not
technically,
Kyle.
he was not Kyle.
That's true. This is Marvin Lanier picked this one for us.
No, this was fantastic. And my wife her background is like education, and she's been a camp counselor and done activities like this. So she's recognizing like all the social science in like giving all these people the same activity and how they problem solve. So it's like, all right, she's getting into it too. This is just like getting a perfect rhythm in my household.
Nice.
But
Nice.
I also have, I think I started on season 12 maybe, and I just have all the back catalog to go through. So I'm probably going to be watching this quite a bit.
Nice. Yeah, there's 11 seasons?
Yeah, maybe
a lot.
12? I'll double check on that. Yeah.
There's a lot. So yeah. Nick, what about you? What'd you watch this week?
Well, as per my Mupdate, I am watching all the Muppet music videos that they've ever done. Because I want to use some of the songs for our Muppet Patreon episodes for outros. And yeah, there was some on there that I didn't even know about. Of course, there was the classics like Kokomo, which has got to be like, I think, my top tier favorite for Muppet covers. The Bohemian Rhapsody one, which was
Yeah.
made before the pandemic, even though there's a joke at the end of like, we got to stop making these video conferences. They are not productive whatsoever. And I was like, oh, that felt like a pandemic joke, but this was way before that.
Yeah, no, they did that way before.
Yeah.
Does anyone else think that it's possible Nick is going to watch so much Muppets that he slips into a parallel universe and he comes back? He's going to be a Muppet some week.
One week I'm just going to come up on here and there's going to be a really white albino Muppet. And like,
floppy head and everything.
but I still can't go in the sun for some reason. Like I'll still get sunburned. Makes no sense. Yeah, what else was there? Like, oh yeah, the OK Go video I liked, where like the Muppets are
Yeah.
there's a segment there where the Muppets have their hands up the OK Go guys and are manipulating them, which is like, oh well, that's super strange. I like that.
Did you watch the Weezer one?
Which one is that?
Dope Nose, I want to say. I think there's a Muppets video that it's not Dope Nose. There's a Weezer video with the Muppets.
I don't think I had gotten through them all yet. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's like a lot.
Everybody wants to work with the Muppets.
Sure. Let's see what else I watched. I did a couple movie watches. One was Chopping Mall.
Oh, love Chopping Mall.
Yes.
Chopping Mall has
Killer Johnny 5.
Laser Mall.
Chopping Mall has my favorite line of any movie I think ever, where they're showing off the security bots in the beginning that will go on their murderous rampage. And one guy goes, what was it? Like they're just reporters unleashing these like mall security bots. And one of the reporters goes like, "Oh, they seem impressive." And then the other reporter says this line that I will never understand, but yet will think about constantly, which is,
I don't know, Mary. The one in the middle has an unpleasantly ethnic quality.
which that line, I could think about that line for the rest of my life and never understand what the fuck that guy means. Like,
It's like a racist Zen cone.
not only does a robot look ethnic to him, but one of the identical robots looks more ethnic than the other two. In what way? It's not like
the way that his head was leaning.
It's not like one of them has a bandana. They don't even have fucking heads. They're just fucking wastebaskets. I don't know. I loved it. I watched the Underworld movies, all of them. God, those movies are terrible.
Nice. But in the best way.
But like, yeah, in the best way. Like there's like vampires fighting werewolves. They're like one of the only movies that are like promise that premise and actually deliver on like, yeah, there's a lot of werewolves fighting vampires in that.
It was part of that gung fu trend.
Yeah. Do you want us to get ridiculously dense on the rules about vampires fighting werewolves? Here's an entire movie. Like they nerd out harder than any franchise.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of like hybrid talk, and then like
I don't need the math on this shit. Come on now.
Well, and crazy gunplay too. Like that was kind of the trend there.
Oh, yeah.
Like until John Wick came along. And
Oh,
was like,
sure.
all right,
Well, that's
let's
like
do this. Let's do this right.
that became a move. There's a move in every movie where like either Celine shoots a hole around her feet and drops down, or shoots a hole above it and then like an elevator drops on her and she breaks through the bullet hole thing. I don't know. It makes no fucking sense. Like it still should absolutely crush her and eviscerate her, no matter how many
Yeah.
bullet holes she puts into the bottom
It's
of that elevator.
Just shy of Homer turning the TV on with the gun in the Simpsons episode.
Yeah. I watched Fear Street. Both of them. What was it? 90. What was it?
94,
97,
93.
94, 93, or and then the one in the
78.
70s. 78. And I liked the first one a lot, and then the second one was real boring. The as far as like it was building out the mythos with the rules that we kind of sorta already knew, but also, man, it was cool when that one guy got killed by the axe, and then another guy got killed by the axe
Like,
in a different way,
14 more axe in the face.
and then another guy get killed by the axe the exact same way, and then some people get killed with an axe off screen. Like the variety of kills is so piss poor. Everyone gets killed with this axe by the same guy, even though the appeal of the last one was a bunch of these different serial killers chasing these kids.
I had the same moment of thinking like, well, I mean, Jason kills most people with a machete. Nope, it gets more creative than this. And then they have a moment towards the end of 78 where they do like the 90s one where they show the like 5 or 6 various cabin in the woods type crazy
Yeah,
fucking
where the
killers.
fuck were they?
But they do literally nothing. They just nothing in this movie. Yeah, it was that sucked as a tease. I am still gonna watch the third one because I'm hoping all the shit hits the fan now.
Yeah, and then I watched? I watched the My Hero Academia movie, like the second one, I think, where apparently they get to like protect, like get to be actual heroes on an island that like the heroes like tell them like nothing really happens on this island but there are cats up trees, and of course it gets invaded by super powerful villains, and they gotta like team up to kick the shit out of them. One of them's a werewolf, which is pretty cool. But other than that, that would be my only anime watching this week, actually. Pretty low on the totem pole there.
That's the one that everybody keeps telling me is like X-Men, right?
Yeah, it's like Claremont X-Men, actually.
So that's like their Krakoa then, right? Like they get their own island.
No, like there's no. Well, it's kind of like the X-Men, only the X-Men aren't persecuted because everyone has fucking powers. Like there's like 1% of normal people, like that don't have powers.
So like the X-Men in a top 10 universe, you're just the goth kids.
Yeah. You're just the ones that like, hey, aren't you supposed to be saving people with your powers? Since yours are like better than our powers.
Can tell us what to do square.
Well, one of the guys, like the police chief, just has a dog head. Like his head is a dog's head, and like he doesn't have any other powers. Like some people just get a weird thing that like some people get a dog head. Another guy is a full blown lizard.
You got the power of lizard. You got to be careful what you wish for on powers, man.
One of my favorite ones is a girl that actually has frog abilities called Sally, or Sue. Sue, that's right. Her name is Sue, and she can throw up the contents of her stomach, and
Okay.
like just like frogs can do. And I'm like, whoa, can you do every? You know, when Peter Parker gets spider powers, he just gets the cool stuff, not like the really gross stuff. But apparently in this universe, like, nah, it all comes with the gross stuff too.
The super realistic. What if Spider-Man got real spider power? Like, no, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, their Spider-Man just shoots just shoots tape from his elbows. And that's how he swings around and wraps up bad guys. It's tape, elbow tape.
Les, what about you? Is that what you got for us this week, Nick?
Yo, that's everything.
What you got, Les?
Let's see. Went through and watched a bunch of Good Fight. There's a new season of Leverage, which is right back to form. It looks like they just picked back up making Leverage. Mysterious Benedict Society, called the Black Widow movie. Some 30 Rock. Soups and Lois is back, and it was really great this week. Flash, still going. Loki, Community. I watched a shitload of drum videos on YouTube because my partner recently got an electronic drum kit and has been watching a bunch of drum videos. And watched Rick and Morty season 5 episode 1 because that's what's unlocked. Atypical, Fear Street 77, and then I watched because I had watched that Love Bug movie, the Herbie 2, a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I started looking up the or which one's next in the Herbie saga, and they made before the Lindsay Lohan one, they made another attempt to bring that franchise back in 1997 with Bruce Campbell driving Herbie, and the villain is John Hannah.
Oh Jesus!
So
And John Hannah and his henchman, who is Dana Gould from the
yes,
creator of Stan and all that. They find the creator of Herbie, and he tells this fucked up story about how he came over from Germany and the U.S. government wanted him to make a living car for them, and so he created Herbie here, and he makes John Hannah his own evil Herbie, which is called Horace the Hate Bug. And it's all black.
I love that.
And it has a bunch of like Spy Hunter type tire slashing additions and shit. This movie is crazy. Like,
I love it.
1997 Disney's Dark as Fuck, directed by Peyton Reed.
What?
Like, this is
Wow.
literally is like the first feature length thing I think that Peyton Reed directed. Anyway,
eat your heart out,
I
Christine.
won't say it's good, but you can't look away. It is quite a car wreck.
Groovy.
And this is Bruce Campbell post Army of Darkness and shit. Like, they knew who they hired. Like, they knew already who they hired.
Yeah.
It's not like he went off on his weekend from doing this and made Evil Dead and came back and they were like, you did what? Like, he was already Bruce Campbell. Yeah, I'm just amazed. Oh, from Steel Magnolias, the pasty kid that marries the super religious nut. Like, as soon as you see the actor, you're like, you should never be in a Disney movie. And he is Bruce Campbell's artsy car mechanic-y buddy who can like speak with Herbie. It's worth watching. It's on YouTube. Disney does not own up to this on Disney Plus.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, shocking.
Shocking, I know.
That everything on your list?
Yes.
Hey,
So-
real quick, that Peyton Reed name drop. Did you know that in the Back to the Future cartoon, there was a live action segment? And
Yes!
He actually directed those?
I only know that because of looking up how the fuck he directed this. When his
That
name
is-
came up at the end of this, I was like, I clearly need to look up Peyton Reed's IMDb page.
Yeah, no, that is a juicy IMDb to chew
Yeah,
on.
he also directed. They apparently tried to remake some of the Kurt Russell Disney movies with Kirk Cameron. Thank God
Oh,
that didn't
that's
go anywhere.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, so there's one of
Yeah.
those, and I'm sorry, Peyton Reed or not, I just can't. I can't. Fuck Kirk Cameron.
Man, there's some weird shit buried in the cartoons. We got the Mighty Ducks. We got Peyton Reed doing live action Back to the Future. There's some weird shit going on in cartoons.
Dude.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of weird shit going on with cartoons, I watched America the Motion Picture off of Nick's recommendation.
Hold on, I want to prepare to be right.
You are right. It is entirely stupid, and yet so much fun. I had a blast watching that. stupid
Isn't it
thing.
fun?
It's ridiculous. Like there's bits where like toward the end where they're like George Washington and Martha Washington introduce their son Denzel.
Denzel, yeah.
It's bonkers. It is so full of these dumb little references. I'm like, wait, did they just what? It's hilarious.
Well, they keep mentioning like Washington with an O. Oh yeah, I know Washington with the E. Isn't he the what was it, the paleontologist or something? And then
Yeah,
what was it? Thomas Jefferson with an Thomas with a A. Oh no, that's the wrestler. Like, he's a nice guy. Yeah, we should go get him.
Well, I noticed what I wanted. The only thing that would have made this better for me, I wanted at the end for there to be a little live action segment, perhaps directed by Peyton Reed, where it's revealed where like you see this really disappointed. I don't know who would cast for this. I feel like you could get oh man, what's the guy who was in Pushing Daisies? The black detective in that. That guy. You know what I'm talking about. I feel like I want him like looking up from a desk at this really earnest kid and he's being like, "You didn't do any of the reading, did you?" Because it feels like a kid making up a book report about America. He's got Lincoln and Washington as contemporaries.
Chi McBride.
I would get Bryan Cranston for it, but
G. McBride, yes. Oh, Cranston's also good, but I want someone who can give a good disappointed look, and a kid to just be like, "No, that's what happened." Like, I wanted to be revealed the entire thing is a kid's book report.
That would be weird because some of it, how accurate, like you have to know a lot about history to get this much wrong. Like, it's a weird paradox.
Maybe it's a group project, Nick. It's a group project.
Picturing a kid with crayons making this book in the center of a bunch of drunk adults smoking in a garage. You know, just sitting there drinking at a family reunion, like, "Oh yeah, Nom. Tell about Nom, Tommy."
Yeah, they're throwing in what they know. Yes, I think it's a group project for sure.
What about the kite thing?
So after that, I watched Tomorrow War, which is about as stupid as America the Motion Picture, but not as self-aware about it. It was okay, exactly okay. I don't know. I don't regret the time I spent watching it. I'll never watch it again.
I regret that last half hour.
It's basically a lesser Independence Day type movie. It's one of those. It was meant to be in the big screen. It doesn't work on a small screen, and it's kind of dumb. I watched Black Widow, of course, which we're going to talk about. I almost finished Flack. I watched a couple more episodes, but then I got distracted by all the other stuff to catch up on. I finished season 3 and started watching season 4 of Brooklyn Nine-Nine with Megan. I watched the latest episodes of Physical, Bad Batch, Mysterious Benedict Society, Good Fight, all which I'm enjoying all those. And then I caught up on next week's homework a little bit. I watched the first 2 episodes of Wellington Paranormal over on HBO Max. And then I watched the first episode of White Lotus on HBO Max, which I'll be interested to hear what you guys think about that. And then last night, I watched Superman and Lois dropped a new episode, finally they're back from the hiatus. I watched that while I was waiting for Loki to come out at 2 a.m., which in fact I did watch at 2 a.m.
Yeah. How can you not?
We're going to talk about all of that. But before we get to Loki and all the other stuff, it's time for a special segment called Randy Hates the Emmys. The Emmy nominations dropped, and the thing is, I know award shows are hard. I know it's a tough thing to get, but the Emmys mostly got everything right this year, and I'm still angry at them. Like Ted Lasso, they gave Ted Lasso so many, like everybody got nominated, all the actors, all the actresses. It got best. They put it down for best comedy, which if it doesn't win, the Emmys are bullshit, and the Emmys are bullshit. But they put The Mandalorian in there, which they never give love to sci-fi. Lovecraft Country got a nod.
18 nods.
18 nods.
18.
Yes, congratulations.
That is a canceled show.
Yeah. Congratulations, HBO. Fantastic. Misha Green has got a new deal at Apple Plus and should be flipping you off for being so fucking stupid. But HBO did great. They got the most nominations of anybody because they also have a bunch of other shit that got nominated. But what is The Boys doing an outstanding drama series? The Boys is many things, but it is not a fucking drama.
Yeah.
It's the drama of one character's relationship with America and how he, expresses that on rooftops while staring at the moon.
Though, I mean, has This Is Us ever burned somebody into like their limbs missing and then you wonder what government lab their body's in and stuff? I mean, This Is Us needs to go there if they want to compete.
This Is Us is nominated too. I know This Is Us is beloved, but why the fuck is This Is Us every year? It's the fucking Modern Family.
I was about to say it's the Modern Family of tearjerker fucking dramas.
Like we're done with you nobody's actually enjoying this as much as they were, right? I mean, come on. You want to talk about momentum. I also have gripes with British Under the Crown being on it, but that's because I hate period pieces. But I understand awards people love snooty period pieces. Pen 15? What the fuck is Pen 15 doing on here?
Yeah.
Which one is that again?
It's the Hulu one about the...
It's one penis, if you look at how it's written.
It's one of many high school shows that were coming out, whatever, the one where the kid kept making the mixtape. Like, there were several right around that time. This one has the 2, I think, lead writers. They're like 30-something-year-old comedians playing the middle school kids. And it's middle school. Like, they're like 7th or 8th grade. I think. Like,
I don't know how
it grossly doesn't work for me.
I don't know how the Emmy period works. I don't know exactly when they stop, when they start. So it's a little weird. But I was going to be mad if they snubbed what we do in the shadows, but apparently that was on last year's thing. but they definitely and High Fidelity. I think I don't know if they actually got snubbed or not, but I definitely feel like they snubbed Never Have I Ever. Like that should have been on there. And they were clearly they had Apple Plus. Nobody thought Mythic Quest was worthy of a comedy nomination for anything.
Yeah, that was another one.
I don't think they take Apple Plus very seriously yet. I
But
think they need
Ted
another
Lasso
year
got
to, like...
Ted Lasso got like all the nominations. They clearly watched it.
That's only because it's Ted Lasso.
I think just because it burst into pop culture is like, is everybody watching this optimistic show?
I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
Mythic Quest had like the great standalone episodes.
It did, absolutely.
Like I wouldn't expect it to get nominated for series, but
Mythic Quest is going to be like Community. It's just not going to be for the crowd that gives awards.
Oh gosh, you nailed it there. Yeah,
yeah. But I honestly think Resident Alien belongs in the comedy section more than almost anything else. Like they definitely there's above the Kaminsky Method and Pen 15. For sure. But then there's the weirdness of like they really packed out the categories of the actor and actress with like Crown, the Crown, everybody using the Crown and Bridgerton and all that kind of stuff. So like all these people in the supposed best of shows didn't get nominated. Nothing for the lead of The Mandalorian, who is definitely doing a lot of the heavy lifting there. In fact, they nominated for guest actors, but nobody else made the cut.
I thought he was like being an asshole, wanting more FaceTime on the series, but maybe he's right. Maybe you don't get recognized if you just are a guy behind a mask.
Yeah, because he's doing great work in that mask.
Oh no, the only reason it really works is because of Pedro Pascal. He's got the physical capability there to really sell that character and like do a lot with a little.
Yeah.
And then there's the weirdness of this has been explained to me as to what this is, but in the outstanding guest actor in a drama series, Don Cheadle got a nod for The Falcon and Winter Soldier. Don Cheadle, who is in it for about 2 minutes.
It is like 95 seconds, I think they said.
I mean,
wait a minute.
Nothing for Carl Lumley.
What about Baron Zemo, who's
or Baron Zemo? Yeah. Daniel Bruhl.
I'm sorry,
Don
for
Cheadle,
supporting actors, he steals the show for most of the time he's on.
Don Cheadle even said, I don't know what this is for.
I honestly had to take a moment and think back to whether or not War Machine was in Falcon and Winter Soldier or whether that was because my brain was like, I think he was there, but I thought it was a movie cutaway. No, he was really in there.
Yeah. He's actually in it. But I think
Don Cheadle was even like, I was in that?
Right? Like, I don't know.
One of my friends explained this to me, and this is another thing I hate about fucking award shows. It's not just the Emmys, but that basically this is his oops, we're sorry for not getting nominated for Black Monday last year.
Kind of what I was thinking.
Come on.
And I'm like,
this
come on,
is Whoopi's Ghost Award.
Yeah.
Like,
and I hate that shit. You fucked up. Admit you fucked up. You can't do it later.
Why can't you just give it for No Sudden Moves? You're gonna like a Soderbergh movie next year anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can't give Scorsese the Goodfellas Award for Departed. I'm sorry. Just say we fucked up and give him an Oscar for Goodfellas later. It's just I hate the makeup awards.
Yeah.
I hate awards so much, you guys. I love best of list. I love doing best of every year. And I know that the nature of it is hard. And I know that snubs happen, but man, I hate the way awards are done.
Man, I agree with you, and I thought I wouldn't get mad anymore again, but that Don Cheadle thing is real dumb.
It's so stupid.
That's like, real stupid.
I don't understand how I can be this mad when they got Ted Lasso right. That really is all I should care about. They recognize that Ted Lasso is amazing, but if it doesn't win, I'm going to be super pissed, even though I don't care about the goddamn Emmys.
Randy, you are a bitter lover.
I am.
You can only see what they do wrong, and it's
correct. Yep, that is right.
I think it's hilarious that Misha Green has already got is Misha Green? Is that
Misha Green, yep.
Already has a deal somewhere else. That is spectacular. Just because HBO's done this before. Like in the late 90s, Dennis Miller, who's turned into a conservative fucking nutbag.
Right.
He had Dennis Miller Live in the late 90s, and it was very different than other late night shows. There wasn't quite anything like it. HBO canceled it after one season, and then I think it took like 13 Emmys or some shit. And and they like, oh, that was a memo sent out by an intern we have fired. That was obviously he is on the air still, and like they very much did a like, well, obviously we're not canceling that now.
Yeah.
And so I was reading that news going, oh, this is going to be a fucking funny negotiation. when they call. But no, it's going to be even funnier than I thought. like,
Because she's gone. She's
can
done.
you hear my middle finger through the phone, motherfuckers?
Anyway, I hate the Emmys, and I will not be watching them. So it's time for our other regular segment, and that is Stranger Than Fanfiction.
Imagine, if you will, a reality containing television programs so bizarre they are indistinguishable from the ravings of a madman. Is the show you are about to hear simply a fabrication in the mind of a man with clearly nothing better to do with his time? Or is the truth indeed stranger than fanfiction?
All right. Who's up for picking the...
It's got to be Kyle's. It's got to be Kyle's turn, right?
I think it should, yeah, since Kyle finally on.
Bring it.
All right, we have X and I.
Ooh. Let's go with X.
X. All right. Ooh, X gonna give it to you. Let's see. So, it's our first game show for Stranger Than Fanfiction.
Oh, this is my specialty.
Kyle was calling to you. So this is a game show with a very stereotypical Asian man as the host, speaking in broken English, and announcing different activities in which they encourage you, the viewer, to bet on. And that's basically the whole show. There's no winners, there's no losers. It's just a couple different sketches for you and whoever you're watching with to bet on for however much you want, or just bragging rights for these weird as fuck challenges. So I'm just going to describe some of these challenges to you and see if you think I'm disturbed enough to make them up, or if these are real things. So here, one of the challenges was they show two prostitutes on the corner in a hidden cam, and they ask you, which prostitute do you think will cost more? That is the bet. And what's weird is that me and my friend really got into it. And I was like, oh, the blonde is more, definitely. No, the blonde is more. Like, I assume. I don't, not from any experience, just assuming the blonde is more. And I was right. The blonde was more by 50 pounds. Because actually this show is British. Kyle, it's kismet for you. Which makes the stereotypical Asian man even more fucking confusing. Because it is a British fucking show with a Asian man speaking in broken English. Oh, which prostitute is going to cost more?
I don't like that
Like
at all.
Borat running Taskmaster Trickmaster.
Pretty fucked up, right?
I do not like this at all.
All right, so there's also a lineup, it looks like a police lineup with a bunch of men in Speedos. And your bet is to have to bet which one has the largest dick. And which ones are inflating their size with socks in their Speedos. And like I said,
broken English,
for whatever reason, this show is terrible, but I got so into it. I'm like, okay, two and three, definitely fakers. Those are socks. I know that for sure. I couldn't get it between 3 and 5. I lost that one. But
Les, Nick is making me sad. Make him stop.
The first one I ever watched was actually one of the best ones. They show two elderly women. They call it Grandma Chicken. In Rascals with little shopping carts at the front, and they start to drive towards each other in a game of chicken, and you have to bet which one will basically win the game of chicken. And they give the strangest stats for these women before, and one of them is like, oh, this woman A, she believes in God. And woman B is going through a divorce. And I was like, well, I guess the woman who's going through the divorce has nothing to live for and does not believe in God, apparently. Because if she did, it would be announced via this weird Asian announcer.
Oh my gosh.
So I won $5 because I knew which grandmother had the least to live for. It's like Running Man if Running Man was even fucking weirder.
No one could run.
Sitting man.
There's a couple other ones. Like there's a bunch of these. There's which clown can hold its breath as someone holds its head into a bucket of water. Which one can hold its breath the longest? Which is basically like, I think I'm trying to watch someone stuff out clowns. What? There's one, and I apologize for the language, but it does indeed say midgets climbing basketball players. In which two little people climb two very tall black basketball players. And another one I got right because I knew which little person had better reach. This show made me feel awful about myself. Just fucking terrible.
So you got to make the bets high enough to assuage that feeling.
Yeah. It's like it's a bad cycle. It's a real interesting thing. Okay, so guys, is this show indeed something that I made up in a weird dream state I had about going to Vegas one time and all the things that you could have bet on, or is the truth indeed stranger than fan fiction?
Oh gosh.
I want this to be fictional, so I'm going to say it's fictional because the world is sad enough in 2021. So yes, this is not real. This is just you making up a thing that makes me want to cry.
Wow, I am so sorry, Randy. This stranger than fan fiction has made me feel bad. I hurt Randy with it.
Kyle, what's your bet?
The thing is, everyone he says sounds real. Like, of course this sounds real. Listen to those descriptions. He won $5.
Wow, Kyle's getting the concept of the game.
Yeah, no, the thing is, okay, saying it's a British game show, they do have some weird stuff. I don't know if they have this weird stuff. If you told me this is a Japanese game show, 100%.
Right, it would be totally believable, but
they probably have.
British suddenly, wait, I have no idea then, right?
So
I have seen some weird stuff though. I'm still going real. I'm going real because I want it to be real.
You want it to be real.
I want it to be real, not to watch it.
I love it that Randy doesn't want it to be real and Kyle wants it to be real. Les, what do you want?
So I want it to not be real, but for a different reason than Randy. I have had game show ideas myself and have been told when I bring them up in groups of people that they can't be on TV because they're cruel to either the contestants or the dogs or, you know, for a variety of reasons that they can't, that we couldn't possibly, that's...
No,
you know,
Les, we can't do running from Dobermans. Or,
God damn it, pit bills.
Pit bills.
You could also do Bulldogs or Benjamins. I'd take either one. It's a good idea. and everything in this show sounds worse than it, and it's on the air, and so I don't want this to be real, because otherwise I want a green light for pit bills.
Sure.
It's a simple concept. You just answer a trivia question, or you get the dogs. We just knock on random doors with a dog.
I love Les's twisted reasoning there of like, no, my thing couldn't get greenlit, so this can't get greenlit.
Right. My thing could even make it out of a party discussion. I was told to quit bringing this up.
So Les is not real out of bitterness. Randy is not real out of sadness for humanity, and Kyle is totally real because he wants a British game show that is this weird. All right, Kyle. You are 100% correct!
Oh, no.
What is this really called?
This show is called Bonsai. And it's announced for every commercial break by that stereotypical Asian man yelling, Bonsai! And he is actually our opera singer.
I think I've seen this, actually.
And I left off a couple of the ones that are more famous that are internet memes. There's one that where a woman just goes up and asks one question to a celebrity, and sees how long that celebrity will stay there after that one question in complete silence. And then there's another guy, the handshake celebrity, who goes up and handshakes and tries to shake a celebrity's hand for as long as possible. And you have to bet on how long, on the spread of how long that this guy can shake, Angelina Jolie's hand.
I feel like this show is only allowed to exist if Getty Watanabe from 1985 is hosting this. like not just the man now. He has to be him from then.
I don't know. This guy in the poster looks like he could get away with some of that broken English craziness.
I think it ran for about.
It may be authentic.
It ran for about 4 seasons, I think.
Oh man!
This is also the same network over in the UK that Taskmaster comes on.
I was wondering.
Channel 4.
Okay, yeah.
Which I think at certain times of the day they can even show boobs on there. I know they can say the F word.
Oh Jesus God!
Thank you, Nick. I guess
you are not welcome.
So
no, I'm checking this out.
This is a good time to remind you that you can support us by going over to patreon.com/tvdudes and throw us a buck an episode. In exchange, we get to keep up with our streaming services, pay for our hosting costs, and you get bonus content each week. This week, we're putting the Muppet Marathon on hold so we can talk about Marvel's newest offering, Black Widow. We also have our $20 showrunner level, so if there are shows you want us to throw into the rotation, you can buy into that level and give us a couple of ideas. We are still a little backlogged. I believe as we get out of summer, we will be catching up. This week, we are going to be hitting one of them. In August, we will dive back into anime with Anohana and Psycho-Pass. But this week, it is time for Marvin Linear's request, the British show Taskmaster.
Randy, I'm not sure if that was clear enough. Do you want me to give a specific example for something that they could show run?
No, I do not. Absolutely not.
Maybe something that was on Hulu and had swords of a magical variety?
No, we will not be watching Magiswords. We will not. Absolutely
Randy.
not. I will not watch Magiswords.
At some point, you're going to be watching something, and you won't know it's Magiswords, and it will be Magiswords.
Is it possible it will just be Mighty Ducks?
But all the ducks are swords.
There's a lot of swords in this. Yeah, Magistics.
A lot of swords in this episode of This Is Us. Wait!
Oh, no!
Let's talk Taskmaster, guys. Kyle, give us a rundown on what Taskmaster is, because I feel like, I swear, if I didn't know this was Marvin Linear, I would have thought this was not Kyle.
Oh my gosh, it would be my pleasure. This is one of those where it came through and I was like, oh, somebody's just being nice. Because I recently, this last year, went down the rabbit hole with 8 out of 10 cats do countdown, and even kind of like bled over into a little 8 out of 10 cats, which is very similar to the countdown version, but is just all about statistics and not as much of a formula that maybe I didn't watch enough of it. But this is Channel 4, kind of the same sort of thing. One of those shows that kind of masters this idea of the celebrity panel, which there is countless British shows that do celebrity panel brilliantly every time, and yet the concept doesn't really take off over here. They tried like a Celebrity Squares remake recently, and it was awful. Pyramid's kind of okay, but like there's not a ton. Actually, to tell the truth, that might be the best celebrity panel show we really have in America. But over there, they seem like every other show can kind of be based around this idea. But just the general premise of it. And I did notice at least the beginning kind of changed throughout the seasons, but season 11 is the most recent one. So I'm kind of go off what they're doing currently, not necessarily the history. But you bring in your panel, 5 contestants. Obviously, this season 11 was done during COVID. So like they're like distanced apart. They even announced that there's an audience watching, like you can hear the applause and stuff, but they're in a theater down the street from where they're actually recording the show, which I'm like, that's kind of smart. Like have them in a theater watching a screen. If they want to be, dummies, take the mask off. They're not going to get any of the performers, whatever. We'll get into that. But essentially the first, of many segments is they're given a task. And the fun of the show is seeing how each different comedic voice, solves these tasks. Some people take it seriously. Some people treat it as a complete joke. My favorite is when they don't think it can actually be done. So they're like, whatever. And then they find out the solution was super easy.
Like say, turning on the light in the room there where you had to paint in the dark?
Oh, that was how I didn't get to see. Okay, that was one where I started it, and it's like they can't see the colors. But you could have literally just turned the light
There's
on.
a light switch, and one of them found it.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that is fantastic. No, because they're often really kind of bizarre tasks, and I think a lot of them are kind of like essentially psychological experiments, you know, to see like assess what Enneagram you would be, or like what kind of leader you would be.
This felt a bit like Whose Line Is It Anyway, or At Midnight, or one of those where it's like it's a panel of people who all know each other somewhat. They like to you know, give each other shit, and then adding in this weird, I don't want to say fear factor, but some weird like element of like crazy challenges. But the basics of it are these comedians busting each other's balls. But then you cut away and it's like America's Funniest Home Video shit. And somehow it works. I was watching this and I was very skeptical, because I'm always skeptical of everything our Patreons suggest to us, because mostly it's fucking anime. But I'm always skeptical, and sometimes when it's not anime, it's big dogs. So I have been burned so many times by our Patreon.
I know other shit happened to big dogs, but I just remember that sandwich.
It's all the chewing noise.
I go into it expecting to hate it, and instead I fell in love with it. And my teenager came in and they're like, "Oh, is this Taskmaster?" Which apparently they'd been hearing their friends talking about, and then they sat down and watched a bunch of it with me. But I had a blast watching this. It's super funny, and I love the entire cast. My favorite moment, I didn't go full on into it. I mean, we've got 12 seasons. I watched 6 episodes of season 8, which is what was on YouTube. And that is it's kind of hard to find, is one of the things I would say. Is like, if this was on Hulu or Netflix or something, I would put this in the queue and I would watch an episode every day and I would just burn through it. But as is, it's going to be a while before I ever get to all of it.
Yeah. YouTube is the best place. Like, if you just search for a particular season, there's a lot of different people who aggregate them. There's not like a great spot for it, but it's a foreign show, if you're in America, it's a little easier to find on
I thought I found their channel.
It just has a lot of ads.
Which aren't always at the time that they break for ads, so sometimes it's weird.
No,
and then sometimes they'll break for ads and they won't have an ad, and that's fun.
I loved the bit where they were trying to get the basketball through a hoop without touching it. And they're showing them all doing these different things. And then the one dude whose name I can't remember kicks it, and they show him and he kicks the ball and it goes in, and they're all just stunned and they're so happy. And then the hosts are like, "Now do you want to see the other tries?" And they reveal that he spent 40 minutes getting to that point.
I think my favorite moment from what I watched was it's from the first episode of season 11, so it sounds like I didn't watch very much of it. But no, there's a challenge where they have these buckets, these like metal buckets that aren't designed to be stacked, and they're supposed to stack it taller than themselves and then mean mug the camera for 2 seconds. But it's the final challenge, so they're all on stage in the auditorium doing it. And they get maybe 2 minutes in, and then everybody realizes, "Oh, I just have to throw my buckets at the other people's buckets, and then nobody can do a tower." So they're just all throwing metal buckets at each other on stage, knocking their towers over.
See, that sounds good. Like, I see why this show ran or is running like 12 seasons and redone it. The premise seems really, really solid. I also think I know why British panel shows don't catch on here. These panels suck. Like,
they're awful. They're so awful, right,
bad.
Les?
These like British comedians on a panel show, it's zingers at the level of like your uncle at a family reunion standing near you.
I get that.
It's like, it's almost funny if I could hear you and you weren't just kind of jabbing at each other. Also, if they'd try, for fuck's sake, like, I don't know if they change comedians eventually, but all the ones I watched had the same like Hobbit on a reunion show and old British comic I don't know, and Tim King, who actually went for it. I think that's his name. He actually went for it on all the ones I watched, and was at least like,
well, because he has scripted,
or he's at least animated on. No, he was one of the contestants. But he's at least animated on screen. The 2 hosts were okay. There's the one woman on the ones I watched. she just straight up does not try at the, like, I want to yell at her of like, it's a game show where you're supposed to be funny and on.
Yeah, she doesn't straight up just doesn't do any of the challenges.
She just does, and has a very like, I don't know if like, it's a fucking TV show. You have a minute and a half to empty a bathtub with a pail.
It's
get into
way too
it.
Fucking British.
I don't know.
I kept thinking like Ryan Stiles would kill this. Ryan Stiles would slay this. Sorry, guys.
They just I don't know. I've tried to watch QR or whatever QI.
Yeah.
I've tried to watch
QI,
that
yeah.
one. Like there's a lot of British panel shows. They're never funny to me. Like it is always just like, God, you only qualify as a comedian in a movie with other comedians in the lead. You can be the British comic friend in a movie, but you are never a comedian.
Oh, which one are you? You're the snarky kind of pessimistic, sarcastic one. Oh, geez, they all blend
nice
together.
Ricky Gervais or the mean Ricky Gervais?
The more I thought about the show, I'm like, this has to be better than I'm thinking it is. Like, because the premise is great. Like, you're gonna make them do good, and then I would watch more and like, this is fucking interminable.
I suffered through this.
I could not stand this show. The premise is solid, but oh my god, the comedians they make it a fucking wet blanket of like.
Oh, that's funny.
I try to watch 2 episodes of almost every season, and it never gets better.
That's what I was like. I was scared
What's
to
funny-
check. I'm like, maybe I'm just early on and they haven't dialed it in yet. Like, no.
Nope. In fact, it gets worse. I thought the first episode was better.
I don't disagree with either one of you. I think your points are well made, but at the same time, I found it enjoyable. And I wonder if there's a scale of something from Les to Kyle of how much British humor lands for you.
Tim Kaine, I think in the first episode where they like bring something weird, like they always bring that thing. And for some reason, only one person ever tries. Really.
Exactly. Like, I brought an Arsenal hat no one would want. Like, oh, that's super weird. And then Tim King's like, deer head.
Here's a reindeer skull.
Yes, reindeer skull. That's what it was on the first
And then they go,
episode I watched.
okay, obvious winner. And that's the one they don't talk about.
Do you see the inscription mug? This was kind of cool. They each had to bring a cup, and it was the same thing. Like, half the people just brought like plastic cups, like piece of shit. And then this one woman, she brings a cup with a glass bottom, and she goes, this is a naval inscription mug. What used to happen is Navy officers, when they needed like sailors, they would drop a coin in your beer, and then you would drink your beer, and when the coin fell out, you go, oh, what's this? And they would have paid you to join, so you were inscripted and you couldn't leave the Navy. So what they did is they made glass bottles.
Kyle, I fell asleep during that explanation.
So you could look and see if there was a coin in there. That's some straight up history. That's interesting.
It's a game show from people that watched Antiques Roadshow and went, this sitcom fucking rocks.
Kyle, that history was fucking hilarious. How much am I laughing at that stupid fuck? And then they all give that story, and then who do they not talk about? The reindeer skull. They just move right on. Like, no, that's the one that's the story. How the fuck did he get that?
Yeah, and again, the premise is solid. I love the fact that the prizes are a bunch of crap the other guests brought that you don't want. That's hilarious to me.
Yeah,
but again, like what makes it not work for me is that for some, like, whatever amounts to British comedy is showing up and not trying. Like, you knew you were coming to a game show. Your agent told you where you were going today, and this is enough.
So it sounds like a split decision from the TV dudes here. Nick and Les would
not when I'm done editing.
Would rather set themselves. Nick and Les would rather set themselves on fire rather than watch anymore. I like it.
Maybe it was because I watched Bonsai before this, and I was morbidly curious, at least for those.
Yeah, you were way past vinegar strokes.
I guess I should say that. At least Taskmaster didn't make me weep for humanity, so there is that. It does have that over Bonsai. But I thought it was solid. I enjoyed it. I would watch more if it was easily accessible and I had like a watching in the background kind of thing. And Kyle adored it because it is right up Kyle's alley, which leads us to the thing we always have to ask. Kyle, how much percentage-wise did you like this because of the premise and the people? And how much was because it was British?
Well, my numbers have definitely been skewed based off the comments of Les and Nick.
There is a right answer here, so you better get it.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm thinking, you got to really be into some British shit if you want to get into this. I like the inscription mug. Like, it's...
Please don't tell me another story about a fucking antique, please.
I'll join the Navy. Fucking stop telling me stories.
Please don't, Kyle. I can't do this anymore.
Oh no, my favorite moments were just like the sly little comments where it's like somebody was like, "That was clever," and they're like, "No, it wasn't." It's like hilarious
Commentary. You burnt.
All right, let's change gears pretty significantly and talk about Rick and Morty, which is
What's
in
that too?
I don't know what season, I don't know what episode, because fucking Adult Swim has no interest in
Well, I
showing
feel like
it to
that's
me.
the segue. I mean,
Season 5.
we had to all watch Taskmaster on like various YouTube channels where it's been aggregated, and I
It was easier to find than fucking Rick and Morty.
So
You could watch Rick and Morty in space. Did you guys see that?
Sorry, what?
So they launched a tiny Rick and Morty toy up onto a satellite with the TV on it, and when it premiered, they played the episode from space. So on YouTube, you can watch episode 1 from a tiny Rick and Morty spaceship that's orbiting the Earth.
Hey, you know what'd be a great idea instead of sending up in space and showing it from a satellite? Show it on a fucking streaming service. There are like 20 of them.
Wow, I love that Rick and Morty's just teeing it up for us to make fun of it. Like,
and Adult Swim has an app now, like that they advertise of like, you go to their website and they're like, are you on Roku? Get the app. And to get the app, you then need cable, which is about like the fucking TV in space. Like, what kind of hipster bullshit? Why did your band put an album out on 8-track? What the fuck is this doing on cable?
I can only get the new Kanye album on vinyl. This is bullshit.
This is bullshit. Like, also, you're Rick and Morty.
I can only get the new Wu-Tang from that Scarelli kid.
Like, I'm seriously, like,
Correct me if I'm wrong, but last season was aired on HBO date and air. Like, they just went.
It was not. They did not. I thought they were gonna, but they did not.
Oh, but season 4 they did drop on Max.
Season 4, right?
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
No,
they did. I remember because I remember watching it as it came out.
Yep.
Because I remember like I gotta watch these one a week because it's too much nihilism to watch all at
I did the
once.
same, and I hadn't gotten to watch
it's a
Rick and
hard
Morty in
binge.
forever, and I remember thinking, but that must have been HBO Max had literally just launched.
Just launched it. They must have had just that
Oh.
deal for that season.
There
and
wasn't
didn't
much
renew
on it, honestly, at the time. Like, none of their other originals had come out, and I
Okay.
think they did, because I did the same thing when
This was before Snyder Cut. This was before
Yeah.
their big, you know.
but when we brought this up for
I
this
assumed
show,
I assumed I was late. I
I did
to
the
it.
same thing this time, though. I was like, oh, cool, we're talking about Rick and Morty again. I'll go check HBO Max. Like, nope. 4.
Nope.
And then, so I watched the Mr. Nimbus episode, which is the only unlocked one, which is an amazing, you're right, Kyle, it's a great Namor, Mr. Fantastic. Like, if Rick's Mr. Fantastic, this is his Namor.
I didn't watch shit in protest. I'm watching it all as one season, whatever they
I
actually
can't do
decide to
all of it
show
at
to
once.
me.
It's too
Oh,
much.
for real?
Yeah.
They dropped a really good first one. It was almost Shoney's good. Not Shoney's
it's pretty
good,
solid.
but like it was like when we got the Shoney's episode.
How much did you like the Narnia riff less?
That was pretty great. The constant like him going back through the door, like Rick or Morty's whole fucking subplot was great. Yeah, it made me want to watch more Rick and Morty, but between
Jennifer was like, "I'm a time goddess, bitch,"
That
and
was
walks
great.
off.
Yeah. No, they released this episode actually like the animatic, I think like a year ago at like Comic-Con online or something maybe right before quarantine, but you got to see that setup where it's essentially just Morty, you know, like, oh no, they're gonna die, it's the last moments, and he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna call Jessica, hey, sorry, you know, I have a crush on you, I should have told you. And she's like, oh, I actually think you're cool too. And then Morty's just like, I gotta live.
I gotta live.
Puts the spaceship back together,
motherfucker, this
lands it.
you touched the ocean.
Oh, such a good
Yeah.
setup.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed this episode, and then I really thought, oh, cool, there's like 4 out, and then the next one locked and asked me for my cable login, and I got mad, and then as I was sitting there mad, I started remembering how much like Rick and Morty's fan base sucks. From the Szechuan sauce thing a while back, and
Yeah,
was like,
yep.
oh yeah, this has got that Star Wars vibe of like, I'm both annoyed by the property and I don't want to be part of the fan base.
Did any of you guys watch that Anna Kendrick doll show on?
Yes, on
Movie.
Hulu. On
Randy likes
Quibi,
Anna Kendrick, yes.
On
Yes.
on the Roku. You mean the Roku channel?
are on the Roku channel. Okay, did you see
What
the
it's on.
episode where the guy's holding up the liquor store?
Yes, I saw the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to do a little spoiler for Quibi if you're the person who's been waiting for your Roku subscription. But no, like Les, that idea of the shitty Rick and Morty fan is personified in this scene where she's at a gas station and gets held up. She like drops to the ground with her sex doll, and the guy who's holding up the convenience store looks at her and goes, "Wait a second. Are you Dan Harmon's girlfriend?"
Yep.
Unzips his hoodie. He's like, "I listen to the podcast." He's got a Rick and Morty shirt on.
Pickle Rick!
I'm a huge fan. The stuff with the sex doll, that's great.
That's perfect. That's fucking perfect.
Yeah.
No, it's hilarious, but I feel your pain, guys.
It's easier to watch the Roku shit from the
Am I
dead
the
Quibi
only one
network.
to watch this?
No, you and Nick, I think.
No,
both watched it.
I hard my way through it, or whatever legal way Kyle did, officially, I guess.
Actually, can I explain this real quick? Because I feel like fundamentally there's a disconnect. Because as TV dudes, we are privy to a series of passwords that work on a variety of devices.
It's true.
It is one of the highest perks of TV dudeness, if I may say so myself.
Oh, like our Funimation account.
No,
Sure.
no, not like that.
Sure.
But also, it's just below the conscription mugs that we're all going to get. That's the highest perk that we all have, so that we don't get recruited into the Navy.
So I made this deal with my wife. I was like, we already get all these other streaming, so we're not paying for Showtime. We're not paying for, this or that. It's like, give me cable. Let me see my stuff when it airs. And my wife is letting me throw down so I can see Rick and Morty day one. I'm just saying, my priorities.
I would sooner get a fucking 8-track player.
Yep, I could buy this on Amazon Prime for not an unreasonable amount of money, just to be like, buy the season pass.
Yeah.
But I refuse. It's a principle thing.
Probably buy this on Randy's Apple TV.
That is actually what I did before TV Dudes.
Oh, only once.
I did the season pass on Apple back. I don't know what it is now.
Yeah, but the episodes so far, I've watched them all too. They're pretty good. There's a good Captain Planet riff. That's pretty
nice.
fun.
Oh yeah, Allison Brie plays Planet Tina, and it's just like spot on voice casting. Also gives her so much to do.
It's like the Planeteer kids, but they grew up and became cynical and now run Planet Tina like they do Britney Spears. And
they're like her pimp.
Yeah, and then what was some of the other ones? There was one where the decoy families. There's just a bunch of decoy families on Earth.
Mortyplicity.
Yeah, so basically it's just the episode keeps starting over with each Rick family dying and realizing, and then the next one realizes, oh shit, the decoy family died. But then the decoy families start making decoy families and
getting exposition from families, and then they're boom, just getting killed off.
Yeah.
And you have no clue. Like, it really makes fun of this idea of like, who's the real Rick? Like, if there was any like idea going into this episode, you're done after.
But also, when they become a little bit dumber each generation down, so they start to get really, really pissed.
So it is like multiplicity. It's a photocopy of a photocopy.
To the point where some of them are puppets, like wooden Pinocchio puppets by the end of it.
Yeah, they drive this like tiki ship made of wood. That's their version of the Rickmobile.
They're saving the other decoys. Like we knew from our conception we were decoys.
And then they keep coming up with bad ideas, and then you see all the other decoys that came up with the same bad idea.
Can I ask you guys? I worry that this is going to be the same thing that I worried about with Archer. That like the longer it goes on, it is sort of the same joke. I mean, they're very inventive and that kind of thing, but there's a lot of the same kind of thing. And I worry that it will run into a point of like diminishing returns, but it seems like it hasn't yet.
This season's a little more Morty focused, actually, which is interesting. A lot of the other ones were very Rick or the family focused of like what was breaking down and stuff. This one, like as far as the episodes I've seen, is a lot of Morty learning about relationships and stuff like that.
Also, the thing that they are really clever with is it's not just let's go on an adventure. And even in like the Mortyplicity episode, they even make fun of, no, we're not splitting into a B story. We don't have time for that shit. Like, they are really kind of, taking the training wheels off and like, doing, like, I feel like the best episode critically, I think in the past couple of years has been the Pickle Rick episode. And it's like, not every episode's going to be Pickle Rick, but that's like a great example of ways that they can keep this show fresh and obviously replace all the great writers that keep getting hired by Marvel. Other people who can do inventive stuff.
And let me pitch it. Let me pitch you something for season 6. Asparagus Rick.
I like it.
I feel like sometimes that somebody just like wrote down a lot of established sci-fi premises, like everything anybody'd ever heard of from a movie or a book, and then handed it to a writer's room and were like, run these out to their worst possible conclusions. Make a funny version for Rick and Morty episodes, and make a bleak version for Black Mirror.
That person is a coked up Dan Harmon, and that's exactly what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
So like this is Dan Harmon and Charlie Brooker in a bathroom stall.
The latest one was a Morty sperm episode where Morty's sperm gets mutated.
Rick-dependent spray.
And at the end of it, they have that interviews with everybody. The writer and Dan Harmon were like, I didn't think this was going to happen, and then the writer was like, this is the most horrific thing I've ever put on the air. We should have never have done this. Like,
it's actually based off a B movie called like Attack of the Killer Alien Sperm, where giant alien sperm come to the planet and try to impregnate it.
In that episode, they talk about cannibalistic horse underdwellers, chuds.
Yes.
And I was like, bravo, good on you, Dan Harmon.
Plot. We've been at a silent war with the chuds. It's also, they bring the president back too, who is
Keith David.
Yeah.
Keith David. Yeah. And he's like, we're never gonna squash this chud war we got going.
These bastards.
Great.
I listened to a video essay on that episode, and somebody goes, I just find it very alarming that if there was a whole race of underground horse people, that Beth wouldn't have more comments about the horse people, considering that she's
a horse surgeon,
a horse veterinarian. Yeah. And it's like, touche. And yeah, you're definitely the Rick and Morty fan holding up the convenience store.
Well, that whole episode was also Beth and Summer were being ignored by everyone in the military anyway. And like no one was listening to them. And so like, hey, and then by the end of it, they were like, hey, Beth goes to Summer like, are you ready to do all the work and get none of the credit? Let's Nancy Reagan this bitch.
Yeah, there's a point where Summer says an idea and nobody listens to her. And then the guy who has quite clearly been in the bathroom jerking off the whole episode comes out for 2 seconds, repeats her idea, and everybody's like, that's great, let's do it. And Beth says to Summer, you've become a woman now.
Oh, Les, yeah, I thought of you during this one. During the decoy episode, it looks like they're going to start an intergalactic cable episode again, and they only get to one show, but the show is Wenwolf, about a time-traveling werewolf.
And he goes to see Caveman Dracula.
I'd watch the fuck out of that.
Why is that not a show?
Why is that not a show?
There's not even Christianity yet. I'm a caveman. The cross means nothing to me. It's just a plus sign.
I don't know why, but I'm like, I heard Les's nipples get hard. It was weird.
Man, Windwolf is all I'm gonna fucking think about now. Even the title's perfect.
It's perfect, right?
Yeah, it is. It's amazing.
Time travel just got hairy.
Well, I love this. I can't wait to watch it in 6 to 8 months when they decide to put it on Hulu or
Like a year.
HBO Max or wherever they decide to actually show it. Right now, I guess it's just for snooty people with cable logins or people who illegally download.
After the apocalypse, Randy, you're gonna open up a laptop on like the last bit of battery, and you go, "Son of a bitch! There's a whole Rick and Morty season I never watched," and then your glasses will break.
Time at last.
No, there was time now.
Time enough at last.
Oh no, there was time now. Oh no, oh jeez.
Yep, that sounds like a Rick and Morty premise, actually. All right, I'm going to talk about, I think I'm the only one to watch this time out. Or no, I think Les, you got this. Atypical had its final season.
Yeah.
And you have not seen the final episode.
No, I have one episode left, so I've seen all the way up through the Players Ball.
This is such a really enjoyable, sweet show, and they also like I really loved it from the outset, and every season I watch, I love it more. Like it's a quick watch. They're like 30-minute episodes. The cast is really good, and I feel like they don't always go into this could easily have been a show about a very special episode of being on the spectrum.
Well,
and instead it's a very warts and all.
They actually made that show right before this one started. I forget the name of it, and I don't want to talk down on it.
There's one on a Mini Driver show, the one
Yes.
is what you're thinking of.
Which was Speechless, the Mini Driver show with
right?
John Ross Bowie.
That's the one I was thinking of. And didn't that one only go for a season?
2
I
maybe?
think it went for 2.
Yeah.
It was solid as well. It was a network version of this, but this one, by virtue of having a penguin hand job, is something else, and it also focuses in on the adult characters too, and I think that's one of the secrets of it.
Atypical caught shit early on. Like the last time I checked in on the show was season 1, and I liked season 1, but I didn't stick with it. Partly it was that the mom, Jennifer Jason Leigh, is great as the mom.
Yeah.
She's too much for me in the first season.
That character,
they're having real
is
problems in season 1.
lot.
Yeah,
And so when I checked in on it in season 4, I was really thrilled where the family all went. Like, I love where they still have problems. There's problems in season 4 that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
There's plots. But I really like where everybody is versus season 1. Like, all the characters I wanted to grow into bigger parts seem to have. When season 1 had just aired, I think the show came to ATX Television Fest. So we got to interview Bridget Lundy Payne and Fievel Stewart and one of the EPs. And also, I'm blanking on her name, but the girl that plays
her girlfriend.
Yeah, his girlfriend.
Is he? Oh,
no.
You're thinking of Paige, Jenna
Paige.
Boyd.
Yeah, I also got to
Paige,
interview the actress that plays Paige. But
love her.
Bridget Lundy Payne and Fievel Stewart interviewed together. It was right when their characters were just literally on the show had just gone from bully to I might like you.
Yeah, yeah.
Which was such a cool turn. And them interviewed together was really neat. They had watching them become a bigger part of the show in season 4. Bridget Lundy Payne carries this show for me.
Yes, the story of Izzy and what's her character's name? Bridget Lundy Payne. That's like Casey and Izzy and their story, and the way that Izzy, who was the one who was I think a little more closeted, just fully gets into the gay straight alliance thing. That she finds her place, and that Casey just can't.
Yeah,
and that she's also dealing with anxiety and stress, and like the way her dad reacts to that. And I thought they did a great job. Like that whole story is really good. But going back to what you said about Jennifer Jason Leigh, she's fantastic. And in the first season, she's kind of a monster.
Yeah.
Like she's pretty awful.
She's going through a midlife crisis.
That's what I was going to say, is that where I'm at now, I'm surprised you're talking about her the way you are, because what I've seen of her, wow.
She's terrible. And then you get to this 4th season, you've seen her grow. And it's funny because in the first season, she's kind of the monster and the control freak, and also the one who's like cheating and is like, she's a mess.
Yes.
Well, I kind of get it because the dad broke down right away when his son was diagnosed. She managed to not break down until now. Now is a breakdown.
The dad, played by Michael Rappaport, as a lovable doofus, which is what Michael Rappaport always plays. Good. By the time they've gotten to this season, they've almost switched roles. Like, not that Rappaport's character is bad, but he's emotionally stunted and also clearly not okay with his daughter being a lesbian, but can never quite bring himself to say it. And so he does something pretty awful to Izzy.
Wow. Because I was going to say, he's scoring some early wins here because he's getting used to his son and he's really connecting, and it was some nice moments.
And weirdly, what he says to Izzy that causes a lot of bullshit to happen is kind of in the middle of him getting other wins. Like this season, he damn it, I'm blanking on Sam.
Sam, yeah.
The main character, Sam, is just gets obsessed with going to Antarctica. And it becomes this referendum on whether or not you believe in him being able to do it, and it very much exposes that Jennifer Jason Leigh isn't going to fucking back him on this and is just giving lip service to it. And when Michael Rappaport calls her out on it, it's great. Like,
it is, yeah.
It's a great moment of like, hey, stop. Like, you have to, and then she calls out another parent for doing something to their kid. Like, there's some really wonderful, like, thank Christ, this is like the opposite of watching a season of Arrow. Like, finally an adult goes, stop it. share.
Well,
Yeah.
one of my favorite lines I've heard so far was when I think the daughter was telling Michael Rappaport, like, "You're acting like mom." I'm like, "Okay, I love your mom, but that's a low fucking blow."
Yes.
Yeah. And there's a bit of that too, because Michael Rappaport was the one who had the connection with Casey. Like his character, he and Casey sort of bonded. And in this season, Casey's changing, and he is not okay with it, and he's losing the special connection. And meanwhile, Jennifer Jason Leigh's character is starting to finally get her daughter in a way, and it's hard for him to do. And he loses someone very important to him, and he kind of shuts down a little bit about that. And I thought they did a great job of making him a little bit more unlikable, but still the guy that he's always been. And I thought they did a great job with that. And Jennifer Jason Leigh's character goes the other way, where they show her she's still got control freak tendencies. She's still got some issues, but the way she stands up to Izzy's mom, I loved every minute of that.
You guys are converting me. I wasn't really into the stuff
it's
I
worth
saw for the
pushing
first season,
forward.
but
It's shit. Skip a season and jump ahead. Like
it wasn't like it was the irregulars or anything, but like I didn't think I would go for it. But you guys are really selling me on the later seasons here.
I think the thing with the mom in season 1 that I find interesting is while I'm watching it, yeah, I'm like, villain, she's awful with the kids, she's awful with her husband, she's fooling around with this guy. But in hindsight, like, no, she's going through a midlife crisis, and the writers thought that raising an autistic kid without the support of your dad was like a justifiable cause to like ignite a midlife crisis like that. But it just looks so irredeemable because everybody in the family relies on her so much. It's like she betrays everybody with that, but it's kind of realistic.
And at the same time, it's not fair. Like, it's not fair for them to put all that on her just because she's taken that on herself.
My thought was
but you look at it,
she's self-destructing. I'm like, okay, she needs to self-destruct first because she didn't do this before, and then build herself back up, and then things will be okay for her. But she basically almost needs to fuck this shit up right now so that it doesn't get worse. It's just going to get worse the more she builds it up.
By the way, I want to say that we're talking a lot about the other characters, but the central story of Sam in Antarctica and all the stuff he's doing with Paige is also really, really. I love everything with Sam and Paige.
They even managed this season to take some of the characters that were kind of one-note jokes to me. His best friend.
His best friend
Zahid. Who can easily just be a comic relief bit. Same with Paige. She can easily just be a plot device, comic relief. And this season, this kind of type A nut job, dropping out of college and getting a job at a shit fast food chain, and like coming to grips with like, what if your talents aren't in the area you thought they were, or aren't as grand as you had in your mind, or something. And it's just wild watching this character kind of deal with this in a very C or D plot kind of way.
Yeah.
And similarly with Zafir, or whatever his name is,
Zahid. Zahid. Yeah.
His whole thing, which doesn't really come up until like the very end of the season.
Yeah.
But even the stuff with him and the roommate rules, they really handle that quite well. This show caught shit early on its first season because it had, I think, no neurodivergent people behind the camera or in the cast, really. And
well, I was gonna say the only thing I don't like about the first season here, and maybe this is my ignorance about autism, but I don't think they're keeping consistent on it. Like, at least with how the other characters are treating it, because sometimes when he's having trouble with a task or some sort of social situation, they can tell him like rules that he can just follow and basically kind of get, maybe not expertly navigate it, but get through it. But then sometimes they don't, or they don't tell him discreetly, don't do that. Because the plot needs him to fuck that up later.
Yeah, they get better with that as they go along, because as Les said, they got some people behind the camera who understood it.
I feel like,
and they also added in people who cast members who actually are neurodivergent, and the people, his college friends.
Oh god,
especially the girl. The girl
Sid. Come back in season 4.
Yeah, Sid and her stuff with the money. I love Sid. I love every minute
Sid
with
being
Sid.
a straight up hustler is awesome.
I would watch an Atypical spinoff with Sid.
Oh, Sid, and I can't remember the guy's name that was like, well, that's why I gave up sex. No, you gave up sex because your girlfriend found a boyfriend on the wrestling team. There were a lot of considerations.
Maybe Despicable or something.
Right?
Yeah. Also, the one gripe I have is, it's a small one, but I wish that Amy Okuda, his therapist. I know her story kind of finished, but she has like a little bitty cameo in this. But I really wanted more of that character. I liked that character. I was kind of sad to see her go.
That was one of the plot arcs I didn't like in season 1 was his crush on her. That was just fucking weird to me.
Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't like the story.
Oh.
I didn't like the story they gave her. I wanted.
But what
I
about
wanted
the
a better story
strawberry
for her.
episode? You don't get that episode without kind of the build-up.
That's true. That's fair.
That strawberry episode was bananas.
But also,
Sorry
it's a
for the
weird
fruit
thing that the
puns.
dad is, again, like, the dad knows, once he figures that out, he doesn't go, no, you can't do that. He says,
Right.
he kind of mealy-mouths it, like, no, you set rules. He knows rules. You can definitely
Yeah.
explain to them, like,
Yeah.
hey, only date people under this age group or whatever. Like, and he would kind of get that. Like, put
Well-
it into a numbers game for him, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Every season of the show gives me a moment that several moments make me laugh out loud, and there's always at least one moment that gets me to tear up,
Mhm.
and that's no change here. I will say I thought they did a good, solid finale to all this, but it is sort of a I want the Animal House thing. I want to know what happens because like there's no reason this should have been the last season. There's no reason to not do more.
When I
of
saw it
this.
was the final one, I really wondered if the writers had declared it, like if when they advertise it like that, it always makes
Yeah.
it sound like you had a plan. And so I have one episode left that I'll probably watch later tonight.
Yeah, I will say it's a good finale. It's a good final episode, but it doesn't feel like say the final episode of The Office or one of those where it feels like the culmination of everything. It just kind of feels like an end. It feels like a season end.
I didn't not enjoy season 1, but I wasn't really excited about seeing this on the list, and I am
Yeah.
shocked that I burned through 9 episodes of Atypical in like a handful of days.
I feel like it gets better as it goes along. It's one of my favorite shows.
I do, now thinking of Animal House, I would like to pitch an atypical frat house. That never gets into trouble with anybody, never parties, never...
Oh no, Sid. If Sid and the
Oh,
other
Sid would
folks
fuck
were
it up,
running,
yeah.
I want them running that. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Atypical. It's a good final season. People should watch it, especially if you weren't super into season 1. I believe that there's a reason to come back for
Mhm.
it.
This is going to be one of those shows like Parks and Rec that it's going to keep finding its audience like years
Yeah.
from now, and people are
Yeah.
going to get this on a 4-season binge. It is going to be such a wonderful time getting to binge through all
Well,
this.
Yeah.
If folks are on tvdudes.com over on the site, you can look under shows under Atypical. All our interviews with the cast are tagged. And you can listen to us talk to everybody from a couple of seasons ago and then watch season 4 and see where they've grown.
All right, let's talk about Mythic Quest, which I know we all have now finished. I thought I don't know if I liked it more than season 1, but I definitely really enjoyed this season.
I liked season 1 more. The flashback episode in season 1 hit me better than this one.
That's fair.
The finale for this one was better.
I'm glad they dropped the naming convention thing.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like Raven's Banquet was the name of season 1, and they were going to try to give a name like that.
That's what
to
I thought they were
every
going to do as
season.
well.
Yeah.
And yeah, that would have been really hard.
Yeah, I'm glad they did too.
So is this the last season or does it continue forward as Hera?
I don't know. I
Which
have
is a
no
terrible
idea.
television show name.
Yeah, it is. I assume it'll still be called Mythic Quest.
Oh yeah, and obviously they're not going to stop this because Apple's got all the money. So I think the people who make the show like money. I could double check that. But.
Well, I would hate for them to fail and have to come back to Mythic Quest. That would be a bad storyline.
Well, no, I feel like they have a lot of places they can go from here. They still have their Mythic Quest team set up, but now they can add new people on that team to replace those who kind of get into the end of the season. But they also have kind of a new avenue where there could be a new team next year. This Hera team.
I worry we're going to have a
and,
split show.
you know, rival companies.
Oh, I could see that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I maybe got you.
The notion of, I mean, what would be interesting and kind of ballsy, and I know we should probably talk about the season before we talk about what they should do in season 3, but it would be kind of fun if basically they did a thing where like the first 2 episodes we don't even see any of Hera, or it's basically we just see how the Mythic Quest team is dealing with this new threat from Hera that's out there.
Well, I would say that with Poppy and Ian working together in actual synchronicity, they would slay Mythic Quest. Like those two actually working together are a force to be reckoned with.
But here's
will
what's
they?
funny. There's games out there that like are old as crap, but people still play them. And it's like they're never going, like there's always going to be a Diablo. But it's like, do we still need Diablo? There's other stuff that's come out that's cooler than Diablo. but people are always going to still play Diablo.
It would be hilarious to me if suddenly David is that David Hornsby's character? Is it actually David in the their actual boss?
Yeah.
I don't think his name's David.
Rickety Cricket.
Is it? Yeah, that's what I call him every time.
Yeah.
So if Cricket next season was an actual fucking boss because
It is David.
because he knows that, like, oh yeah, no, I'm sorry, our threatening other competition is run by who? Those two? Cool. I know how that implodes. I would crack up if he got to make some like sage brilliant moves because he knows that like they can't make that. They can't do that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Or all I
Did
have
you
to do
guys-
is say this in a meeting and walk away and they will eat each other up alive.
I know we all love Joe, and I think her story this season where she kept going, she was up on Brad, and then Brad had it up on her. And then Brad's
Yeah.
brother was playing them both.
Mhm.
Like that whole story was really, really good.
The way that
She
went
just did
down
an
was
interview
wonderful.
on
Fem TV.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fem TV podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah, that
one
was
to go
Melissa's,
check out.
I think, 100th episode.
I don't
Oh,
think there was a
nice.
weak storyline in this one, but Joe
No.
and Brad was definitely one of the best ones. Like,
Yeah.
It's up there. Yeah.
I
Oh,
loved
and they
it.
nailed their standalone too. Like that was one of the big things from season 1.
Yeah.
Was you have like this great season, but then this like killer standalone episode in the middle
Yep.
that doesn't have
Yep.
any of the characters. It's just like total exercise in, like telling a story within this world.
that went opposite what I thought it was, like him plagiarizing. I just thought that like him not being good at writing was just not going to be like, who cares? Like that's
Yeah,
not what's
like,
important about being
So you're a
published.
hack. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. He just stole an Asimov book and then couldn't write anything to follow it.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was like, damn. Oh, but the episode after that where he actually interacts with like that,
Mhm.
I think that was my favorite
Oh.
episode of the season, and probably why I think
Mm.
that season 2 might be a little bit better for me. It was just the end of that where the only way these two could reconcile after all the shit they said to each other. I'm like, okay, there's only one way they can reconcile this. And that is if what's his name? God damn it. CJ or
CJ.
CW.
yeah, CW.
CW.
CW has to go, I'm going to publish your book or something, or I'm going to read me your book because I'm a fan of
Yeah.
yours. I
Mhm.
never stopped.
Yeah.
Like, you watch, I read all of them. I never
Mhm.
stopped being no matter how much I hated you, I always loved your books. And
I-
I'm like, yep, that would save that relationship. That's the only thing that would do it.
Oh.
And that was brilliant.
Yep. And the scene where you got to see the daughter and like have that moment where she pulls
Mhm.
out the video game and she's like, she asked me to put it in the DVD player. And I was just
She
like,
said you knew all of it.
Like
Oh,
he
yeah.
needed that. That was his
Yeah.
catharsis.
And
Yeah.
I did like the admission that no, these books are still terrible. But reading all of them, like, it's also what made the tester decide I want to be a writer. Because she's like, no, they're
Yeah.
awful. Like, but yet I found myself really caring at the end of them because I learned all this
Cried.
back. I cried. I mean, granted, it was after an incredibly awful sex scene, but it's like, that's great.
Well, and I love that they make fun of CW's work. Like, it's very misogynistic. Like, it's all the things that, like, the classic sci-fi authors get dinged on, and he's just the worst at all of them.
And still doesn't care. Like, is still just an oblivious, like, I am grand. Like,
Well, he's got to keep up with the facade. He can't let it drop even for a second.
I think the
Right.
only thing that annoyed me is that William Hurt that played.
Yes. Yeah. William Hurt is, and he's great in the role, I thought.
I just deeply don't like William Hurt anymore.
Really? Okay.
It's an almost Jeff Bridges kind of thing sometimes
Huh.
of like, man, I know you are a great actor, like with capital letters, but can you just be normal in a role for a minute? Like just take it down a hair. And Hurt's not as bad as he was for a minute there, but there was a little while there where like both of them were approaching like a Marlon Brando thing of like, God damn it, say the words normally.
All right. So Leslie's problem was that the character wasn't dying of cancer fast enough. Got it.
Yes. Well, no, but because I had a part of it of like, I don't know if he's sick or if William Hurt's just being weird. And I really didn't know for a little bit.
Like that episode also is followed up by the heart attack episode, which like
Mhm.
the previous one softened me up for heart attack, and then heart attack made me weak.
Yeah.
I was like Ian actually being like vulnerable, or like why he was being mean so far. Like, no, I opened up to you, my best friend, and you couldn't even be real with me.
But I do hate singing in public. No.
And that whole thing of them really, really reconciling, like really realizing that they're best friends. And that, singing, like Kyle said, the rainbow connection came in. And I loved that Kyle was like, when she was first singing that Australian song, and then Ian was like, it'd be more meaningful and connecting if you said it in English. And I was like, you know what? He's right. In the show and in meta right now, it would be more meaningful if I understood what she was saying.
I love her response back of like, it's what my father sang. It's a lullaby. It's what my father sang to me when I was. Yeah, no, I hear that.
But that means nothing to me.
He's like, it means nothing to me. It's gibberish. Like, and they really did. It worked, but it was heavy-handed as fuck. I think twice they teased the opening 6 notes or whatever of Rainbow.
Oh yeah,
Connection.
the ding 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 ding,
and like,
yeah, that was such a good.
And it was seriously, it was just like winding up a punch.
Well, then like the episodes after that where they're like, hey, do you want to do this thing and it's impossible, and how I know it's impossible is that you are one of the best coaches I've ever had, so if anyone was going to do it, you would have done it already. And she just breaks down like, I've wasted all my all this time.
Oh my god, you're right. Yeah.
And they're both mean to that intern or whatever.
Yes.
That led so perfectly into their conversation about starting the new company to me. Because I love when she's like, no, but you already said it's impossible. Like, no. And I was like, that's not what he's like I was yelling at the screen, like, that's not what he said. He said it's impossible in this code base.
Yeah. I caught that too. I was like, when she's talking about it, I'm like, he never said it was impossible. He said you're trying to take Mythic Quest and turn it into something it's not.
Yeah.
He didn't say you couldn't build it from the ground up.
And then that last shot in the bar where it's like, you helped me create my vision. Now let me help you create yours.
Just whether Ian can really do that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Can he put his ego aside for it? That's the question. Also, we haven't talked very much about the intern, the testers.
Mm-hmm.
I think their story wasn't bad, but it was the weakest out of the ones in season 2.
Oh, of season 2? No, I thought their story was sort of the heart of the whole thing, because these are the younger kids who are like, they're not connected to the success or failure of Mythic Quest has nothing to do with them. They will find another tester job somewhere else. So they're doing their own thing, but their own thing is like the growing up and like, what are we gonna do? We have what is basically a job. This is not a career for us. We have a job. What are our careers gonna be? And I thought that whole thing was really, and how that.
Oh god.
How that ties into their relationship and them doing the circle where basically she becomes the confident one and kisses her to break her out of a spiral at the end. I just thought that was really, really effective. I liked that a lot.
I think the reason I don't click with their story is that this season I am watching a show about Mythic Quest where all these people are trying to make Mythic Quest happen. And then I've got these two characters who are either like the touching edge of another show that's in my show, or they're two characters in Mythic Quest who actively, as part of their plot lines, don't want to really be in Mythic Quest and are plotting to leave the show. And so like every time we touch on their plot line, it's not in the main story for me.
Yeah, not only are they not dealing with the main story, they're actually trying to move away from it. Actively.
Yes. Yeah, they're trying to leave the show, and I'm like, cool, go. I'd like to go back to watching Mythic Quest though.
Because the best story was also with Ian and Poppy telling the tester like, oh, it doesn't matter if you're good. Like, being good is like the least important thing.
That was good.
That was good, but also that's Ian and Poppy working together, and that was what I got out of that scene, rather than her learning anything.
Well, I was going to say, out of the two of them, they are really great, but I think, like, even though Dana's a great character, the actress who plays Rachel, she just does so much more with that character. Like, I feel like that performance is, like, elevated not only in their relationship, but, like, with the relationships with everybody else. And Dana just seems a little, not one note, but, like, a few notes, whereas, like, Rachel is just, like, a really strong character. It's almost like they would be much better if you split those characters, which they did, where they sent Rachel with CW on kind of their own standalone adventure, and she was fantastic in that.
Yeah, I didn't like her as much. I didn't like their story as much in season 1, but I came to like both those characters more in season 2.
No, I was going to say we quickly jump to the end of the season, because that's when you get into like all the good, like award-worthy stuff.
Well, yeah,
but
a lot of it is set up, and then finally
well, like one of the great things about this is the show has a partnership with Bethesda, which is like this really big video game studio.
Really?
So there's a lot of like, I'm pretty sure Bethesda's doing like all the cutscenes that they have.
That
makes sense.
Yeah. And I'm also sure that there's a lot of insight they get from working with them that they wouldn't get otherwise. So I think of like season 1 with the shovel, how like you had one person who wanted it to be a weapon and another person who's like, no, you can build stuff with it and recreate the game. Like that storyline for me this season was when they brought in what's his name, drunk history, Derek Waters,
Yes,
as Phil the art director.
That poor man.
I loved that.
Yeah, just throwing crazy ideas at him.
You
It's
guys
like,
always
can do
nail it.
that.
Never once. We've never.
Never once. No,
Nope,
we
never
always have to
once.
redo it. A lot of work, a lot of hours went into this.
Yep. No, that's actually the work of 10 artists who are going to spend all weekend working on that for you. But yeah, we'll try it both ways.
It's not just knocked out. Not magic.
Yeah, when Ian was like, I need you to disagree with me, and he kept doing anything Ian said, it was so sad. Just broken
That's
man.
how it works, though. Especially if you have a relationship like that with your boss, like that is real life how it works. It's like, yeah, I'll just tell me it's over. Like I'll do anything to make you stop giving me stuff.
So, guys, a little bit of a coda to our Mythic Quest discussion. I just discovered looking at the Wikipedia that Tears of the Anaren was released in June 2021 on Apple Books as an ebook and audiobook, narrated by C.W. Longbottom and Ian Gray.
What?
So that's what they did during pandemic.
Yeah. So just so you know,
Oh my
that exists.
God, I'm listening to all that terrible shit.
Oh, that sounds
Holy
so good.
fuck.
I knew that y'all needed that information.
Fucking F.
Wow.
Murray
Oh, that's
Abraham.
good.
Like Sally.
Never have I needed something so bad and not known I needed it.
Well, guys, we're running a little long, so I guess we should just skip Loki this week. Is that we're all good
Never.
with that, right?
No, never.
No.
Actually, we can wrap it up pretty quick. Like most of it was like kind of wrapping up the show plot lines anyway.
Right,
As a
no big
standalone episode,
things, yeah.
literally the first half of this is just two people sitting down and somebody explaining what just happened in the 5 episodes. Like,
Right.
I loved this
Yeah.
episode, but structurally, I was watching it going, if I weren't already in the bag for this is 15 minutes of two characters sitting in a chair while you explain something.
It's
So
definitely
yes.
not the last third of Endgame.
It should have been tacked onto the last episode as one big finale, like an hour-long finale.
To be clear, I was being a trickster. We are absolutely talking about Loki. If you have not seen the final episode, spoilers beware.
Get
Get
the
out.
hell out of here!
Yeah, that is your spoiler warning.
Run
Because
for
we're
your
going to talk in
lives!
detail about the final episode of Loki, which honestly, after episode 5, which is the best thing Marvel TV has done,
Mhm.
it would have been easy for this to be a letdown, and I was not let down. Les is not wrong. This is basically 3 characters sitting in a room talking for like 15 minutes, and I was fucking riveted.
It's still good.
Well, I was a little bit let down.
I was a little bit let
because-
down.
What?
because I was so close to having Miss Minutes be the actual bad guy. Like she shows up and I was
Yes.
like,
You start and you're like, they did it.
There was a moment when they walked into the Citadel where I was like, motherfucker, he's right.
I was so ready to be right, and I was like, God damn it!
Well, I mean, technically she was, because she was programmed by the bad guy. She was the mask for the villain.
I was only let down because 5 was the best thing that they've done by like hands down. And
Yeah.
6 just wasn't 5.
Gosh, yeah, 5 was good.
I knew it wasn't going to be Miss Minutes, and so I thought I had come to think, okay, it's going to be an alternate Loki or something. They're not actually going to do
Yeah.
Kang.
I was like,
No.
that's the only way they can do it. They're not going to give us anything new.
And then the fucking door opened, and there's Jonathan Majors in purple and green.
Yeah, because this is how Marvel does twists. They don't.
Yes,
So in
yeah.
WandaVision, when we were all trying to figure out who it was going to be, and it turns out it was Agatha all along, only it really wasn't, because Agatha was there to figure out how the fuck it was Wanda the whole time. Like, it wasn't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that drives me insane. It wasn't Agatha all along. She was there to find out what was happening, just like all of us. It was Wanda all along. Turns out Wanda was making a fake town, just like we all thought Wanda was making a fake town
Wanda
for
didn't
the
kill
whole show.
Sparky.
And in the same way in Loki, like, hey, I think they're gonna do Kang. Hey, I think they're gonna do Kang. Hey, it's probably gonna be Kang. Oh shit, it's Kang.
Except Jonathan Majors said, "I am not playing Kang in Loki," and he didn't lie.
No, because
No.
he's Sylvie. He's the Sylvie of
he is-
Kangs.
He is he who remains.
Yeah, they
Or
don't actually call
even-
him Kang.
Yes.
And they never name check him, but this is very much the Immortus
He's
version
Kang.
of Kang.
Yeah.
He's still he's got the more flowing robes. He's got
They
the more
even
many
kinda
names.
saved
yeah.
a Mortis if they want to.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this Kang could be like the previous Mortis, and they could actually do a Mortis like later on.
The
I
problem
think that's
was
also
gonna be Kang the
why I
Conqueror.
was a little underwhelmed is because once I knew it was Kang, I knew the explanation already.
Yeah.
Like I knew what he was going to say,
They did a really good job.
and
of,
I knew
like-
what was going to happen because there's no way we get out of this without a multiverse. So I knew,
Right.
like, as soon as he provides the choice, I'm like, I know what's going to happen because there's
See,
no way.
I disagree. I didn't see the specifics coming because there are any number of ways they could have gotten to a multiverse. They could have had Loki and Sophie wind up, or Sylvie in charge of the TVA and decide to just do a multiverse instead of a secret timeline. There's any number of
Can
ways.
we just call her Enchantress, or are we not allowed to call her
Yeah,
Enchantress?
she's for sure going to be Enchantress, right?
So, I mean, Enchantress.
yeah.
There's two Enchantresses in the comics, and one of them is named Sylvie.
Yeah, I'm sure that's where they're going.
Like, they didn't pick that name out of a
Jonathan
hat.
Majors even called her Sylvie after
Yeah.
calling her Loki a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, no, and that's what she's asked to be called a bunch of times. Yeah, she's Sylvie. She's
So-
Enchantress.
I love Jonathan Majors here. I love him playing Kang as a little bit. I mean, again, not Kang. This is Immortus. When he plays Kang in Quantumania, I bet he plays him completely different. I bet he's going to play him a little more psychotic,
Mhm.
a little more dangerous. Like this is a Kang who has conquered all these worlds, settled down, killed all his variants, and basically he's like, yeah, I rule time. This is what I set out to do, and I did it. And he's a little impish, like he's a little pranksterish with them.
He's having
Oh,
fun,
yeah.
and also I like that he knows exactly what's going to happen up until a certain point, and then he tells
Yeah.
them like, "I have no idea what's going to happen," and he's kind of excited.
And
He's
that
excited
look
about
on his
it,
face,
yeah.
you knew exactly what
Yeah.
happened right then. Of like, oh,
Yeah, we're reaching
we're
the
here.
threshold, and he's
Yeah.
like,
You don't know, yeah,
and he
yeah.
just drops something or whatever. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. This is so cool.
yeah. That was really good.
I did not expect Loki to show up and not be known. When he
Yeah.
pops back into the TVA and he's in a different TVA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good finale.
That
thing.
I did not expect.
My gripe with the finale, and I know they had a lot to do, and so it's not a big gripe, but there's all this setup with Ravonna and talking to Hunter B15, and
And then
she's
she
like,
just ditches out of the
she's-
show.
she's like, what did you do? And then we see that she's gone to see the pre-variant Ravonna, but there's never any payoff to that. I'm sure we'll see the payoff in season 2, but I felt like there should have been some
No,
No,
payoff.
the only
Actually-
reason she shows the pre is to wake up the other
There's
Convince
soldiers.
only
the
way to
one other
convince
head
the other
guy.
agents.
Yeah.
And then the other
Yeah.
agents are like suddenly that's because like we said before, the ruse of the TVA is actually pretty fragile.
Yeah,
Like,
she's just starting.
Yeah.
That's all that scene was starting that ball rolling.
Yeah, but here's the thing: waking up the agents didn't do anything. There was no consequences.
Well,
for that.
but
well,
that's
it's because she left before any
Loki-
consequences. She
Right.
Well,
like,
that's because of what Sylvie did at the end.
Right.
with
I guess
Immortus.
what I get it. I wanted to see the TVA coming apart of the seams a little more before it all got rebooted, and we didn't.
No,
we didn't have
no.
time for that.
No,
I
it
guess.
feels
it
like the
didn't
TVA
deal with
is
any
still
of the consequences. Like that's what I wanted. I'm like, once we hit to the TVA we didn't know before, I'm like, oh, here's some stuff I don't know what's gonna happen because everything
Yeah.
else was like I knew, and then it cuts to credits. I'm like,
Yeah,
fuck.
I really
Yeah.
thought I was going to see Mobius go back and quote burn it all down, and we just don't.
Yeah.
We don't see him burn it all
We
down at all.
don't.
He's right back to working for it, which is disappointing.
We didn't see him burn TVA down. We did not see him in a jet ski, and those are my two complaints.
Maybe he burned it down in that other timeline. I don't know.
Mhm.
Every single show so far, why are there 10 to 15 minutes of credits?
That's got to be a licensing thing. It's all the different foreign
And
voices and that kind of stuff.
and Marvel, with 10 to 15 minutes of credits, can't see fit to put a stinger.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Their stinger here was, oh, by the way, we're doing a season 2. That was great because I
That's
love
cool,
the
cool to
confirmation
know.
of it.
But also,
But
Jesus,
I wanted a stinger.
you
Yeah,
should have
for
shown me
sure.
Ravonna like
Yeah,
trekking
give me
somewhere.
something.
Where is she? What she? I either want her
They
dead.
try and do like a fight in the middle, so they could have an action sequence in their last
Right.
episode. And I was like,
Yeah.
guys, you really should have pushed these two together so that the last episode with Richard E. Grant like sacrifices himself, and then there's like 20 minutes of this.
Yeah. I
Actually, yeah, that would have been pretty good. Or you set up a misdirect in 5.
That would have made the best finale ever. Like that would have
Like,
been the
if- yeah.
greatest finale.
They totally wasted the opportunity to have Richard E. Grant do like a classic Loki double cross. Because how does that actor be cast in something and not double cross somebody? That's like what he's known for. They only cast him for that misdirect of
But
him
yeah,
not double cross.
Would have been wonderful for them to be in the Citadel and not Kang go, oh wait, you have to watch this. and like cut to like other Loki who's been buying them time this whole time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right, Nick. If they had done a thing where basically what I would have loved, and I know this would have fucked up so many things, but I would have loved if season 5 or if episode 5 ended and then they started the credits and we're like, wait a minute, are there 40 minutes of credits this week? And then after the credits, they cut to the back and then they give us these 20 minutes.
It reverses or like some time travel shit happens.
Yeah, and then at the end they give the actual credits, and then they do the Loki will return for season 2, and they say, oh yeah, by the way, it's 5 episodes, it's not 6.
That would have been great.
Like that would have been fuck with us that way, and it would have been perfect, and it would have been an amazing episode.
Yeah.
Nobody would have been like, wait, where's our 6th episode? Because the 5th episode would have been fucking amazing.
Because the 5th episode would have been so good, we would all been like, oh fuck, what?
Yeah,
I will agree with Nick. They cast, like, Jonathan Majors, like, casting that actor made an expositional sit down and explain to me this entire series, which I didn't really need to explain. It made it tolerable. His performance was engaging enough that, like, I enjoyed watching Kang zip around, even though the way he moves, it's not explained by him saying, I know what you're going to do. Like, hey man, I can know a lot of shit. How did you teleport?
He programmed the temp pad.
Oh, that's what it is. He's zipping around like the necklace.
Yeah, but he needs to know what's going to happen before to program it that
He's
way.
fast forwarding himself.
Like,
okay, yeah. Because I was like, it's like, man, the way you're moving.
Like what Owen Wilson was doing to Loki.
That's exactly,
before.
it's the collar thing. Yeah, rewinding him back.
That, yeah.
That's right, because his temp pad looking different. I wish they explained that better.
Yeah.
It was halfway through the scene before I realized that, oh, his thing on his wrist is just a temp pad.
Yeah.
It just looks different for
Yeah,
no
get
good
back,
reason.
rewind it back.
My only disappointments, honestly, is just not that we don't have more.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted another trailer for What If, or for them to surprise us with an episode of What If. And that's just me being greedy, to be honest. I mean, they gave us so much. They gave us Alligator Loki. They gave us Richard E. Grant in a classic Loki costume. Anything I want here is greedy.
Yeah, I'm just going to rewatch
they gave
F5.
us they gave us a pretty great season of TV.
Here's what I'm thinking, though. This could have been a movie. Like this.
No, it was too long. It would have been too long.
Miniseries. It has to be at least a miniseries.
It has. They have to have the time.
It'd have been a 2.5 to 3 hour movie, and it wouldn't have worked. I mean, like, there'd have been some act of it that wouldn't have played out right.
Yeah, the only fat on this entire season is the 3rd episode. You could have cut down a little bit, but that's 10 minutes you can lose. Like, this is not movie length. This is a long ass movie. This is longer than Dune in theaters.
4.5 hours.
Yeah, this is longer than the Justice League Snyder cut. This works as a.
I bet you
I
could
think
make this Snyder
needs
cut
to be a
link.
TV
This
show.
could be 4 hours.
But I think this is a TV show for sure.
5 acts, black and white, HBO.
It could be a movie, but it would be an okay movie rather than a really fucking good show.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I'll give you that.
Yeah. I'm super happy with this. The only reason I rank Cap and Falcon above this, or Cap and Winter Soldier above this, is because I am so in the tank for those particular characters. But objectively, this is the best thing Marvel's done.
This is my favorite thing Marvel's done on TV.
This is
You
my
guys
absolute
heard
favorite
about
thing.
Chris Hemsworth doing the Frog Thor, right?
Yes, that he was the voice for Frog Thor.
That's awesome.
I love it that, like, just very clearly, like, he likes this stuff. Like, he's not trying to get paid.
Nope.
Like, he realizes, like, no, this is the fun one, and everybody else is going to put me in their movies as long as I'm, still this character.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah.
Totally.
It's fantastic.
Anyway, we'll talk more about Marvel on the Patreon this week because we are going to be talking about Black Widow, which is a good time to remind you. You can join us up at patreon.com/TV Dudes. Throw us a bucket episode. Go back and listen to all that. We're going to talk about the Muppets. You can talk about Fast and Furious.
Whether Batman eats pussy.
Whether Batman eats pussy. Yeah, all kinds of things on our Patreon. But that is it for this week's episode. Thank you, dudes, for joining me here.
No, I thank you, Ring.
Thank you, dudes.
Thanks.
Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our patrons. And thank you, Marvin, for introducing us to Taskmaster, even if...
Fuck you, Marvin.
No. Marvin didn't put anime. He is the best patron we have.
Indeed.
He put Bunny Drop.
So I do. I mean, everybody else thinks Taskmaster's filmed on the back lot of the Hustler, right? That's the same set.
Oh yeah. We didn't even talk about your theory that it's all shared universe and that it's probably it's like the back part of the Big Brother house, and then the garage is where the Grand
BBC
Tour
has
happens.
no money, and they just tell British shows to like, look, if you can sneak in.
Wait, does the chase just run through it at one point, or what?
Which at this point, yeah, which means they need an upstairs downstairs dramedy or comedy about what happens behind the scenes of all these shows.
Let's launch the British game show universe, the BGU.
Well, that's it for us, guys, and until next time.
TV Dudes out! The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TV Dudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.